This is Heroine Addiction, where we cover romance and drama manhwa, and where you never know when you'll find yourself in a fairy tale. I'm Isekai Sensei-Sama, aka Brad, and as always, I'm joined by Bento Baggins, aka Ben.
I'm the bastard prince of a dead king, named after the darkest shade of black. Bento Black. I didn't have anything. I thought it would come to me. It did not.
It was close enough.
Leave it in.
Well, before we get started, I want to remind everybody to make sure to find us on social media, which you can find the links for on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. We hope to see you on our Discord. So today we are covering Not-Sew-Wicked Stepmom, and I need to put the emphasis on "so" because it's "so" as in sewing.
Yeah, it's not so like so, it's so like so.
See how confusing we can be. SEW. Oh, I ended it. Oh. This is a series that's been coming out since 2021. And as of this recording, there's 143 chapters. I think there's actually 144 by now. We didn't get the 144th yet, unfortunately. I should have checked what other series this person has done, because this has been going on for a long time, so maybe...
This can't be their first, because this is... I mean, at least not the artist, because this is really good.
Interesting. I'm not seeing anything... Well,
this person's a pro. I mean, it was good from the get-go.
Oh, that was the author. Let me see about the artist. Nope. This is it.
And this is the only thing they've done under this name, but they've got to be doing something else.
Yeah, probably.
Though I did read the interview about their work week, and that was horrifying.
Welcome to the manhwa pipeline.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the discussion, as always, I will read the summary, and then we'll jump into it. Fairy tale stepmothers are notoriously wicked, but after a children's clothing designer is reborn as young Princess Blanche's stepmom, she's determined to break the mold and shower her daughter with love. Now she just has to convince the girl's cold-hearted father to do the same. In her quest to make a happier home for Blanche, Abigail begins to uncover secrets and schemes within the palace. Will devious forces tear the Friedkins apart, or can Abigail stitch their family back together?
And after that, does it just have the content warnings for, like, horrible abuse?
No, you have to... those are at the top of the chapters where it's happening.
Yeah, my God. I think it's worth mentioning for the episode, because we're going to talk about some stuff, and if just hearing the mention of it would trigger, because I know a lot of people deal with these things. There's like sexual assault of a minor, there's all kinds of child abuse, there's eating disorders galore, fat shaming, misogyny, internal misogyny. A lot of the misogyny comes from women. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that they really got into, because I remember reading it, because people told me, they're like, oh, it gets dark, and I'm like, ha, I can handle that. No manhwa can out dark what I read. And I was like, oh, this is up there. This is up there.
It's interesting because even though it's got some really dark stuff in it, I would say that the overall tone, especially now in later seasons, I'd say the overall tone is heartwarming.
I think the
fair
thing
amount of
that,
comedy.
The thing that saves it, the thing that keeps it from being, I'd say, like, immature, because I've talked about that before, where you could tell it's a kid writing and they don't have a lot of experience with these issues, but they want to be dramatic and they're maybe over invoking the drama. This doesn't seem to be the case because it feels very plausible. It's not, it doesn't come out of nowhere. It shapes the way the characters act in a realistic way. But the heartwarming piece of it is that within the drama, the only drama within the family is like comedic in tone. Whenever they're dealing with the issues, the family is kind of like unconditionally supportive of one another.
Yeah.
So that helps. There's a lot of like actual clear communication about the really important stuff.
Yeah, I think that's really important is like, in a lot of these series we have the whole misunderstanding trope. And they do that in here, but it never feels too drawn out. Yeah,
and the misunderstanding is like, oh, does he like me? And it's not like when it comes to his trauma, she does misunderstand his trauma. She's a little, I guess, overcautious, but that's the sort of thing you can be forgiven for being overcautious about.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's really played for laughs because it's building up to you've both done things and you need to communicate it. And I think that's the theme, really, is like the communication, the therapy, the healing.
Yeah. I mean, and there is the fact that like all of them have trauma in their own ways. To differing degrees of seriousness, but everybody's dealing with some shit.
Yeah. No, I'm actually, and we'll talk about it as we get into the specifics, but I was really impressed with the way they handled like the cycle of abuse. Like if there's many moments where it feels very real of like this person has acknowledged they were abused. They have very little affection for their abuser. They've identified the problem, and yet they still fall into the patterns of self-abuse and reiterating those dark thoughts. And that's where I was like, dang, okay, I haven't struggled with my weight, but I haven't struggled with, like the perception of it.
Yeah.
But I know that's harder for women. But yeah, no, some of the stuff where, especially like when his mom's getting in his head, I was like, ooh, that hits.
Yeah. Let's see.
Also, it's Snow White, by the way.
Well, I was going to say,
it's not a secret. It's not a secret, and I couldn't figure it out.
Right into that and say, yeah, this is a is parody of the right word? It's got the framework of Snow White.
It's a new take on Snow White. I think it's a new take on Maleficent. I don't know if you read or if you remember reading the interview chapter. There's I think between the season 2 and season 3, they do one chapter where it's just an interview with the author and the artist. And the author actually said she was inspired by the movie Maleficent, which is by happy chance one of the few live action Disney movies I have seen. And it honestly wasn't bad. I didn't think I was going to like it, but it honestly wasn't bad. And she said she liked the idea of the evil queen having affection for the child and like watching her grow up and sort of being in the background and taking care of her. And so you can clearly see that.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting though, because there's obviously the underpinnings of Snow White in here, but beyond sort of like, oh, this little girl is obviously the Snow White character, and our protagonist, Isekai protagonist, is supposed to be the Wicked Queen and everything, but like that goes away pretty quickly. Like the rest of the Snow White story doesn't play out. There's no dwarves, for one.
Well, yeah, it's Snow White never bit the apple, so Oh, well, no, I guess that happens pretty late in the story.
That does,
Yeah.
in season 4, that does happen, yeah.
Yeah.
Except it's not. They put that on its head as well. And then just like you're just reading along and all of a sudden, oh look, here's the Little Mermaid.
I caught that one. I was onto that. As soon as they mentioned mermaids and as soon as I saw there was red hair, I was like, oh, yep.
It makes me wonder, as we go forward, who knows how long this is going to go on? Are they going to add in additional fairy tales into it?
Yeah, I don't know. They haven't really. You'd think they'd have mentioned more like. You think they'd have mentioned dwarves, I guess, or I don't know, because I guess the fairy kingdom is going to be the next arc, maybe.
Yeah, probably. I think you should know this since you read it more recently. I did not reread this, by the way, and there were a couple points that I was like, oh, I don't remember that, but I seem to remember there was a passing mention of the seven dwarves. Like Abigail was thinking about it, and like she thought like, I haven't seen any dwarves or something like that, and there was like, am I just making that up?
No, she does think about it because she thinks about the Snow White tale a lot. I think what confused me is, I guess, all of the Otome Isekai we cover are to some extent inspired by Snow White. Like the whole villainous thing, like Maleficent is like, well, Maleficent is like the villainous, right? In all fairy tale.
I don't know. I mean, villainesses are in all kinds of stuff. I don't know if it's
Like you got the wicked stepmother. It's like you're either doing Snow White or Cinderella.
There's also Sleeping Beauty. If we're
Yeah, that's true.
back,
Was there a villainess in Sleeping Beauty?
she turns into a dragon. Come on.
Oh yeah.
She's the one who puts not Snow White, Sleeping Beauty to sleep in the first place. She enchants.
Am I
that
confused? Is
spinning wheel.
Maleficent about Sleeping Beauty? I think it might be.
No, that's Snow White.
I thought she pricks her finger on a.
Oh wait, no.
Yeah.
Yes, you are
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we got that completely wrong. Maleficent.
I'm
is
not
Sleeping Beauty,
batting
yeah.
100 on this one. They're going to take my my literary analysis credentials
Yeah, right.
away.
The evil queen in Snow White. Oh, what was her name? I know she has one. I forget what it is. Oh, but we can't forget the one other thing, because I said, oh, you got these characters. It's Snow White. There's another character that's very important that I didn't mention, which is intrinsically linked to Snow White.
Yeah.
And that is the magic mirror.
Yeah. No,
Now-
there was a moment where she was talking to the magic. Where I realized I was an idiot was when she was talking to the magic mirror about her daughter Blanche, and for some reason they had bolded Blanche, and I read it as the French word for white for the first time, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so dumb." And then I realized, like, they're not being subtle about it. There's so many references. Everybody, it's like you said, everybody's named after a color. Yeah, it's crazy.
Everybody in that family, we should say.
Yeah.
The king and his brother and the king's daughter. I think that might be it. I'm looking at the character list, which, to be fair, this wiki is terrible. Why is there not a better wiki for this? It's been going on for years now. I don't see any other color names.
No, probably not. I guess, yeah, Abigail is not named after a color.
No.
I don't think.
What? Do we have a name for... No, Sable's dad. Sabrian, sorry. I don't think I'm allowed to call him Sable. We don't know what the former king's name is. Because his mom is not a color name. But presumably you get a color name if you're like born into that family. I should see if there's a better wiki because this is terrible.
Well, who are you trying to think of? I might remember their names. I remember the core group.
No, there should be a longer list than this. Well, so do you want to try and go through some of the major story beats?
Yeah, I think we could. Let's start with the setup, I guess. There is a king of Nurgen named Sabrienne. I don't know how people in Korea say these names because I can barely say them. And he is married to a woman, Abigail, who, it was a political marriage. She represents the kingdom of Cronenberg, yes. Because I kept thinking of the director of The Fly every time they said it.
Yeah.
And
important point, she is his second wife.
yes, he has a daughter from his first marriage. His wife died giving childbirth. He has married this woman, but he has never shown her any affection. She was a shallow, kind of mean-spirited, generic hot lady who kept trying to throw herself at him, and he seemed utterly disgusted by her, repulsed, hated her. But then one day, she dies. And he says something quite hurtful at her funeral, which is, may we never meet in another life. That's going to come back around. But in that moment, in Korea, an overworked, underloved fashion designer is also dying of exhaustion, and she transmigrates into the body of Abigail and awakes. It's a miracle. Abigail has come back from the dead. And she has come back strangely changed to all the people around her. I think this is also going to come back around.
I gotta say, a lot of times you get these transfer stories and it's like she woke up one day and she's saying all these different things and she's acting like a different person. And it's like, okay, yeah, we gloss over that. And people are like, oh, you're different. Although it's actually weirder when people don't notice it at all. But
you think somebody transmigrated into John Fetterman?
But in this case, like coming back from the dead, I think is if I was in the situation of knowing someone and they acted a certain way, and then the doctors were like, they're dead, and then a couple hours later they wake up and they're acting like a completely different person, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense, yeah.
Sometimes dead is better. It's a Pet Sematary reference. Anyway, so when Abigail comes back, we kind of launch into the middle of that story. She is, in her previous life, a children's fashion designer. She loves fashion, though she never designed anything for herself because in her previous life, she was a bit overweight. And she was always mocked for that. I understand, I could be wrong, but I understand Korean standards of beauty are maybe even a little harsher than our own. I've heard that it is very hard to be fat in Asia. That is not well regarded. So,
except, go to China these days and you'll see something different. Their obesity rates are going through the roof.
I do remember reading an article about the army being mad about it. They couldn't get any recruits.
I'll tell you what, if manhwa, if drama and romance manhwa were the only windows into Korean life that you had, you'd think it was just like the worst place ever, just completely stuffed full of bullies. Mm-hmm. Like the worst society you can possibly think of.
I think there's a certain amount of like falling into line. And I know the stigma around plastic surgery, like around in America, I think it's somewhat shameful to have purely cosmetic surgery. Like you don't want people to know. A lot of people do it, and there's really nothing wrong with it, but you don't want people to know. You want people to think it's like natural.
Well, if people know, if you can tell, then it wasn't very good surgery.
Well, but there are things where it's like,
what?
I can tell. Like you see some of these before and after photos of K-pop idols. By the way, K-pop Demon Hunters is an amazing movie, and I've kind of gotten into K-pop now. So you see like a before and after. It's like, oh, this is her high school photo, and then this is her idol photo, and it's like, well, yeah, that's different. She looks fine, but there's nothing wrong with what they did. But
although don't look down on makeup.
I've heard
thick layer makeup can do it a lot.
No, I heard there was a problem with China. Chinese women were going to Korea to have plastic surgery. And then when they tried to get back into China, they were being denied entry because they no longer resembled their passport photos.
That's great.
It's actually a thing. The Chinese government has been telling women you need to go over with a note from your doctor explaining what's being done so that you can get back in. It's crazy. But so yeah, if you've got that going on, if it's literally as common as say like getting braces to get your teeth straightened, if it's as common as that to like just go get your face straightened, it's going to be pretty brutal if you aren't taking extreme measures from my cultural perspective to maintain the standard of beauty. So she's got a lot of baggage with that. No matter what she did, no matter what she achieved, no matter how good her grades were, no matter how successful she was in her career, she was always looked down upon. She was always considered sloppy or unorganized because she couldn't manage her weight better. And
I feel that.
So she never designed fashion for herself. That's something to just keep in the back of your mind. But there is I think at this point, maybe like 10, 12-year-old girl.
Oh, I think at the beginning of the story, Blanche is only like 10, right?
I think she's like 10, yeah. Because I think she's pushing 13 in the current season.
There's no information on this wiki. Who made Ben? Weren't you supposed to fill out all the wikis as you read these things?
I was supposed to do that. I forgot about that. I keep thinking that because these things are made like at the start and then they never go back and update it.
You say that, except the page here on Abigail actually has a spoiler in it because I'm just going to say that. Of course this is going to happen. Yeah, it's from the novel, almost certainly, because it lists another child here.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a spoil. Oh, no. This is someone who comes in. She actually had a kid in the other country, right? And we didn't know. No. You're not going to, you don't believe that? Yeah. Okay.
If I do a wiki, we need to find a way to do it like on our own site because I'm not helping them run ads because people are going to look at this. I did a summary of an obscure book once, and it is the most clicked thing I've ever done. Mm. So if I do this, if I do a really good job of making these wikis, we get the ad revenue.
I mean, setting up a wiki isn't very difficult.
I'll fill it out. I love writing stuff down.
Right, I'll look into it.
Okay. So
you're gonna have to go back and do all of the series that we've ever covered.
That's the sort of thing. Like, I think I told you. Like, I was just like reading the Bible and taking notes. Like, that's the sort of thing I do to relax. Is I just like go through and I like do librarian work.
It's too bad you can't make any money being a librarian.
No, No, it's funny because like everybody at my library is like volunteers almost. I think there's like 3 paid employees maybe. But yeah, so there is a girl in the home named Blanche, which means white in French, if you forgot like I did. And she is adorable. And in fact, I kind of noticed this, and I was happy to see it commented on in the interview. They asked the artist, what takes you the most time to draw? And she said Blanche's face, because it is key to the story that Blanche be the most beautiful girl in the world. And so every time Blanche is she's on screen, her eyes have at least 3 layers of color degrading into a dark pupil. They're super wide. It's always perfectly proportioned. She's always got a little bit of a chubby cheek. Her hair is like meticulously detailed in a way no other character's is. And it really is like, that's how Abigail sees Blanche. She is just the most alive person in the kingdom. Yeah. And
she's also just ridiculously precious. Like, so innocent and kind and just lovely. And you're just like, I would say she's in the top 3 of children in manhwa.
Yes, she's the perfect child. She carries,
might be number 1.
She carries the series on her back, because I was not at all interested in the romance element for a very long time. I did get there.
Definitely the beginning.
Yeah.
I would say it's fair to say she carries the first 2 seasons.
I was with the Bato comments on this because I was not about the romance until he like really talked about what had happened to him, and then started like being increasingly like vulnerable and like trying to like do like exposure therapy, like just holding her hand
almost
for a minute.
As if it's realistic.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, now he feels like a real person, because before he felt like a manhwa protagonist.
Yeah,
now he feels like a person. So I did get there. I'm on board now. And when he was jealous of the Little Mermaid, I was in. I was actually on his side. I actually really, I was a little worried about that one, because there is like in some of these there's a predatory lesbian trope. But I think it was eventually funny, and I think she's gonna wind up with Karen.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that.
You want to know how bad this wiki is? Karen isn't on this wiki.
What?
None of the mermaids are on this wiki.
Well, you gotta at least have the big one.
You'd think.
Yeah, I don't know her name, but she's important.
We need to find out, because we need to tell Moxie about her.
Oh yeah, yeah, that'd be a good one.
So, interesting thing, and this comes into play immediately after she resurrects as Abigail. The original Abigail, the body that she's inhabiting, has this very interesting quirk. So Abigail is really an incredibly beautiful woman. But she has this really interesting thing where if she, I'm not exactly sure what the mechanism is, but like to most people, she appears like when she like would smile or whatever, she appears evil. Like she has an evil look on her face, even when she's like now actually smiling happily.
Yeah, it looks like a demon smiling at you. Like whatever's making it happy can't be good for you.
Yeah. I'm wondering what the mechanism is. We never got a real explanation for it, because people who actually know her then, like come to know her, when she smiles at them, they see her beautifully. But everyone who doesn't know her very well, when she smiles, they're like scared of her.
I think the artist, I noticed this a couple of times. I think the artist is playing, like with Blanche, with the perception of sort of the room. Like,
So not what people are actually seeing in real life, but their perception of what they're seeing.
I think if a character appears beautiful on the page, it is because they are beautiful within to an extent. Like there are like beautiful people who are bad guys who are menacing, but they're not drawn cute. They're drawn menacing. There's a little bit, and I also noticed, and I could be off on this, I feel like the artist is also playing, especially with the weight insecurities. I don't know enough about fashion to say if this is intentional, because there are moments where Abigail starts feeling insecure about her weight in this world, because they go through a whole thing where all the women are forced to like starve themselves and wear corsets, and they can't even really exercise, so it has to be starving yourself to get into these corsets and wear these dresses. And then she wears looser dresses made of different fabrics that are they go through eras of French fashion that I just know nothing about. It's interesting. I didn't expect to be interested in it because I don't care about French fashion. I've never worn a dress. I will never wear a frou-frou dress like that. That's for sure.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
That's not my dream. Like, I don't know. I think I'd be like, I could do a kilt.
You'll have to remind me here because you were in the comments recently. I forget, this is one where I can't properly recall because there's so many series that do this that it sort of has blended together for me. But their portrayal of the corset in here, were they getting it right, or were the comments having a fit about them getting it wrong like most do, where it's like for the most part people didn't squeeze themselves into corsets like that?
I think the comments actually were pretty favorable to the fashion stuff. If anything, I think I just remember them going into more details. So where I was going with this was when she starts struggling with her weight, it seems like her outfits change to make her a little boxier in silhouette. She hasn't really gained that much weight, of course, but that's when you have an eating disorder, it's all so subjective and so distorted that anything feels like too much. And somebody like her brother is making fun of her and he pinches her fat, and I was like, oh, I was the one in the Bento comments going like, yeah, you might have to kick your ass for that one.
He did in fact get his ass kicked.
Not enough. He got off pretty easy. Yeah. I'll be real with you. And like, it would not have upset me. I'll put it this way. I'm usually the one like asking for sympathy for the bad guys in these. It would not have upset me if you go up to a queen and you try to make her feel bad by like pinching a little bit of like chub or something. You lose that hand.
Yeah, potentially. Although circumstances of being the prince of a different country and the brother and...
I don't know. I think wars have been started for less.
Well.
But that's pretty intense. But anyway, that's where I was going with this was I think the artist is at the very least, using fashion to express how Blanche is feeling. Mm-hmm. And I don't know enough about fashion to fully appreciate it, but...
Abigail?
Abigail, sorry. I don't know enough to fully appreciate it, but
It's an important distinction to make because there is a an arc in here where Blanche is the one who's like, I need to eat salad. I can't get too fat. And a woman's worth is based on her beauty and all that. And it's just like, oh, you poor little thing.
I read, for the other podcast I do, we read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And I kept having flashbacks to that because, like I said, I've never, thankfully, struggled with any kind of eating disorder. But, oh, man. Like, I have struggled with mental health, and I do understand having a distorted view of what's actually going on and what people think about you and all that stuff. And that just seems like hell.
Yeah.
And it is brutal to see like them putting that on a little kid. And we're jumping around the story, but I'm just talking about some of the things that like sort of got me into it. There's a moment where Blanche sort of starts to get smart, and she sees that Abigail is struggling with this. And Abigail's like starving herself. She's only eating salad. And Abigail's like, oh, I'm on a diet. I need to lose some weight. And Blanche goes, oh, maybe I should diet too. And Abigail goes, no, you're too young. Don't worry about that stuff. You're too young for that. And Blanche turns around and asks, what is the appropriate age to start worrying about that? And Abigail literally does sit there and try to think of like, because that's a therapist question. Like that's the kind of leading question therapists ask to get you to think through what you have just said. And of course, Abigail can't come up with the appropriate age to obsess over your weight. And
17.
Oh boy, that does seem to be around when it starts. But it's like all things in moderation. If you're healthy, you're healthy. But there's a lot of moments like that with Abigail and Blanche where like Blanche will just ask an insightful question that disrupts Abigail's dark thoughts and makes her start to question like, okay, but like, where is that actually coming from? Is that logical? Is it reasonable to have that thought? Or are you having like a trauma response? But so anyway, Blanche is the cutest girl in all the world. Abigail at the beginning of the story has not been nice to her before she was a transmigrator.
Yeah.
She has always been very cruel to this girl. And now Abigail very much wants to design clothes for her. She wants her to be her little dress-up doll. She's just the cutest thing in the world. And she starts trying to get her gifts and give her like items to wear. And Blanche is pretty responsive to it, actually. But the king is suspicious. And there comes a moment, the famous bunny incident, where Abigail has made a stuffed rabbit for Blanche. And the king is convinced that this is some sort of trap or trick. There's something in the rabbit that's going to harm Blanche. And so before Blanche can receive the rabbit, the king looks at it and slices it open with his sword. And of course, that crushes Abigail. She bursts into tears. She calls the king all kinds of names. And the king starts second guessing, why is she doing this? Has she really changed? The king at this point is also kind of a weirdo too, because he's not like, he doesn't play any kind of active role in his daughter's life. He seems entirely disinterested in his family. Nobles keep asking him, like, okay, if you don't like your current wife, maybe new wife, maybe two wives, what can we do to get a male heir out of you? Because you're the king, and you don't have a male heir, so there's going to be a war when you die. We would rather not. And the king refuses to remarry, refuses to take any interest in his wife and has no interest in women whatsoever. And people wonder, like, is he gay? And he's not. He just doesn't seem into it. But people keep telling him, like, man, you know, like, lives are riding on your ability to procreate here. Like, get in there.
Maybe you guys should have thought about that 10 years ago.
Yeah. And so Abigail is like, okay, you know what? This guy doesn't like me. Well, fuck him. I'm okay with that. She's like, look, we can sleep in different rooms. You don't have to return any of my advances. I won't hit on you or anything. But you should at least be nice to Blanche. I'm doing it all for Blanche. And there are many cute meme cuts and genuinely funny moments of her just overjoyed at being able to, like, do things for Blanche, dress Blanche up, do all this stuff. She fires a tutor and, like, an etiquette teacher who has been forcing Blanche to starve herself and all this junk.
That's a classic trope of
Yeah.
the teacher who's trying to enact, noble etiquette and stuff like that into a child and is just going way overboard.
Yeah, and Abigail even has the thought of, like, I know I'm not from this time. I know the morality is different, but I'm not going to let this happen. I'm gonna butt in this once.
It is. It's a very easy character to write because it's a very easy way to be like, hey, you're supposed to hate this person, and it's so easy to just write the most awful person you have ever seen because they're being mean to this precious, precious little one. Yeah,
and of course her eyeballs are just like a black dot in a white circle. so
you
don't have to like her. But the king is impressed with Abigail's change, I would say. He's willing to see a little bit more where this goes. So they do start slowly eating meals together. Abigail and Blanche bond a lot. Blanche is very forgiving of Abigail's past transgression. Abigail apologizes profusely. She gives her all kinds of cookies and snacks and stuff and lets her start sort of living like a child a little bit. And the king's warming up. And I think eventually the king, there's like here's the darkness moment where the king is like, what's the difference? Because he seems repulsed by Abigail, and Abigail's still like, I thought we were making progress. I don't know why. And he's like, okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you what's really going on here. What's the age difference between me and my daughter? And the age difference is like 14 years, which means he had Abigail when he was 14, which historically that would have been a scandal even in like the medieval period. People got married young, but they did not necessarily consummate. Like, there are records of, like, yeah, there were child brides, but like actually doing the deed that young was still pretty scandalous.
Yeah. And not that, this makes anything any better, but generally speaking, it was the woman who was the younger one.
Well, and in these political marriages, they would do that just to like, oh, let's seal a pact. Yeah, here's a kid. Yeah. And so what had happened was the old king died unexpectedly. His legitimate son, Sable, or Sabrienne, was sickly. Did not know if he was going to make it. So they got him with an adult woman in her 20s who would, come into his room every night and try to make an heir. And it was to the point where he was actively sick, like actively feverish, and like they were withholding food and water until he agreed to do this so that they could have an heir. And this went on for a year before she finally conceived and gave birth to a daughter, not a son. And she died in childbirth. He was then immediately remarried to Abigail. But at this point, I think he had started to come into maturity and was able to send the Queen Mother away and regain control. And that is why he's been so hostile. That is why he's disgusted by women. That is why the worst thing you could do to get in this guy's good graces is come into his room unexpected in sexy lingerie and think that's going to make him happy. No, it does not. And so he tells her all that, and like, that's why I have a hard time. And he's expecting her to react with like the thinking of the time of like, that's come back when you have a real problem. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry you had to have so much sexy sex. But no, she reacts with like a little bit of a modern perspective on, yeah, that was probably intensely psychologically traumatic for you. And she's totally cool with it. And she basically agrees to like, hey, I'll be your beard. If you don't want to get with anybody, we can do that.
Not sure that's the right term, but yeah.
I will say like he's asexual. I don't know. That's not acceptable.
That's probably closer. Yeah.
But she's like, yeah, no, we can have, this can be just between you and me, and we'll face it together, and like I'll be as much of a wife as I can be, you be as much of a husband as you can be, and we'll stay together for Blanche. We could be good friends who like look out for each other on this one. And that in itself is kind of sweet. And I think she does keep a secret. And I think from that moment on, he kind of trusts her basically implicitly. I don't think there's another thing where he really questions her. I wouldn't say like, I don't think he questions her loyalty again. He might question her romantic interests and stuff, but
by the time that they start talking through that stuff, yeah, his apprehensions of her have basically, like, I mean, they sort of are. It's necessary to not have any apprehensions to open up that much.
Yeah. So that it made the character make a lot of sense too, because at first I thought like, a lot of these otome isekai I've seen where it's like a cold, distant father. It's like, oh, there's always some like trauma. Like, oh, it's like, I had bad parents. And it's like, no, this guy, it's like the kid herself, no fault of her own though, is a trauma
reminder.
Trigger. Yeah. He was not ready for that kid for sure. He has no idea what to do with her.
Yeah.
No idea how to relate to her. And it all starts to click into place. It's like, oh yeah, well, this guy's not an asshole. He's just been through it.
Well, and I think there's that thing where you have that person in power who is a dick. And when you find out what their backstory is, you're sort of like, I feel sorry for you, but that doesn't excuse your behavior. And in this case, I think a lot of what he does earlier on does get excused by that. You can suddenly see like, oh, his interactions with Blanche are because she is a constant reminder of this trauma that he went through. And, you know, all of this stuff with Abigail, beyond the fact that she was not a good person before she reincarnated, but like all of these things where she's trying to talk to him, get close to him, that kind of stuff, is a bringing up that trauma again. There's a couple things like cutting the rabbit in half where it's like, dude, come on. But for the most part, everything that he does is explained away by that.
Well, and the other thing is, Blanche doesn't know. And I think that's reasonable. She's a little too young to absorb that. Like, you can't put that on a kid that age. Like, so he's trying to do his best for her by not making her feel like a mistake or like unwanted or like, but there are times when he starts trying to interact with her again and starts trying to be more fatherly towards her, where the Queen Mother's coming to visit and Blanche is like, oh, I'm going to finally get to meet Grandma. And he's like, he snips a bit. She's like, what's Grandma like? And the only thing he can think to say, and he says it in a tone that is like, you have deeply upset me. She's the one who named you. That's the only thing. That's the most neutral thing he can think to say, because he basically wants to kill her.
And you will too after you read these chapters.
Yeah, the mom arranged the whole thing, basically pimped out her kid. And the mom is not even a little ashamed about it. She tells him to suck it up, man up. Like, look, you're not an average person. You're a king. And it's like I said, if you don't produce a solid heir that the people will rally behind, there will be war. And the mom is obviously, if that were her only concern, you might even be sympathetic towards her. You might even be like, wow, this is such a fucked up situation. But fortunately, she gives us an out to hate her anyway.
Well, before we get to that, I should point out, because we didn't bring this up yet, Sabrian does have a brother.
Yes.
And so when we're getting into this stuff, when we're talking about like needs to produce an heir and all that, it's like, well, yes. So you can sort of talk about the technicalities here, but also if something were to happen to him, there is currently a backup.
Well, there's a backup, but not for Morka. And these are really badly named kingdoms, but there are many sentient races in this world, of which humans are just one. They're the most populous, but they're just one. So there are, I think, 4 human kingdoms, of which I think the one we're in, Nurgen, is the most powerful. But the one his mom is from wants the throne. Everyone wants the throne. The one his mom's faction wants the throne. Abigail's family's faction wants the throne. The non-humans would like to see the humans destabilized. So even if, let's say Sabrian dies tomorrow, Abigail is going to have, or not Abigail, well, maybe Abigail. Abigail and Blanche are going to have supporters, and Raven is going to have supporters, and there's probably going to be somebody else who comes out of the woodwork. And there's going to be, because that's the thing, like history has a long, proud tradition of, yes, there is a clear legal process of who the next king is. But I interpret it differently. What if we go back 5 more generations and actually this guy...
Okay, but I was talking to the Pope, and the Pope said that I should be king, so...
I said that I should be the Pope, so... I should be the king and the Pope.
Henry, is that you?
But yeah, her whole thing is not that she's just trying to prevent war. She's trying to cement control of the kingdom of Nurgen on behalf of her faction.
Right.
So everybody is selfish. They're not just selflessly saying like, look, we need an heir to secure stable society. We need an heir to increase my authority. And you can hate her for that. That's an easy one. And you do. And she's mean, and she tricks people, and she lies. Whenever you see somebody's inner thoughts, I'm like, oh, good, I can hate this person. Okay. When you don't see their inner thoughts, that's when you don't see a lot of Karen's inner thoughts towards, like, as time goes on. I did enjoy one thing. I don't know how much I want to get into Karen, but like,
I mean, it is important. We should touch on that. And she does show up pretty early on. Karen Stoke, Duke Stoke's daughter. And to just be perfectly clear about this, everything that Karen does is because of her dad. And he is the one who someone really needs to do something about.
It's gotta happen. So she plays the like mean girl role. She's going to try to take Abigail down. She's going to try to provoke Abigail into causing a scene, but Abigail has, changed souls, and she is now no longer so easily provocable. And so that plan fails. And Abigail just keeps doing nice things for her, keeps bailing her out of awkward situations.
The whole plan that Duke Stoke has, and he continues to have this plan in season 4. This is crazy. His whole plan is that Karen will take the place of Abigail and then, produce an heir with Sabrian so that the Duke then has a direct line to the throne.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because after like a couple chapters after Karen's introduction, it's like Sabrian makes very, very clear that is not a route that will ever happen. And yet the Duke continues to be like, Karen, you need to get in good with
in there.
It's just like, dude, are you stupid? I mean, he is, but
yeah, he is. Yeah. He looks like the Burger King. But
oh yeah.
So Karen,
I see it.
there's a little bit of foreshadowing with Karen. I actually kind of like this. I get the impression that the book or the web novel, I'm guessing, goes on. Like, if we think this series is long, that novel's got to be so long.
Yeah.
And so many weird side tangents must happen. Of which Karen, I got to imagine the Karen story is bigger in the book. But Karen mentions offhandedly, and I thought this was just going to be like a weird, like, injecting modern social values. But Karen mentions that, like, did you know so-and-so's wife is having an affair with a woman? Can you imagine 2 women doing it? How would that even work? Like, like, could you just like what if we tried just for fun, like just to see how it like, and you're like, okay, what? Well, first off, Karen, that's a little harsh. We don't need to be judging people. Love is love. They're not hurting anybody. And I'm like, okay, you're fighting an uphill battle there, Abigail, but I appreciate you trying to bring these values into this society. One person at a time, I guess. But it turns out Karen's an easy sell because I think Karen may be gay.
Well, first, I mean, Karen basically falls in love with Abigail first.
Yeah.
And then later on gets a different potential love interest, which good for her. I do like Karen.
I like the way that resolved because I liked both of those characters.
Karen is a tragic and sympathetic villainess to start, I guess, and not villainous now, but it's an interesting situation.
We'll skip ahead a little bit, but the Little Mermaid comes into play, and it turns out the Little Mermaid is from a tribe of Amazonian, free-loving, gender-switching merfolk, and she's able to. They do like same-sex marriage. They can change gender whenever they want.
That is. So when they introduced, I was like, "Wow, okay, we're just going, full on for this."
Yeah, they are very much the wine, not the label types, and so the Little Mermaid winds up falling for Abigail. Gets rejected because Abigail's true love is Sabrian, and so that's kind of sad for her. Like at that point, the character's way too like aggressive and forward.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of like waiting for you need to be kind of firm about this, Abigail. But when she's shot down, she does kind of accept it with grace. And then she starts hanging out with Karen. Karen's also attracted to Abigail, but there's a little hint that maybe Karen and the Little Mermaid. She's not the Little Mermaid, by the way. She's jacked as shit. She's
not as much as her sister.
She's the swole mermaid, not the swollest, but she's up there. She's got defined biceps, and Karen's kind of into that, and I like that for them. Because both of those characters are like kind of lonely. I'm like, it'd be good if you could find each other. And then Karen can marry Little Mermaid. I forget what they call her. It's not Ariel.
Nadia.
And Nadia, yeah. So Karen can marry Nadia, and Nadia is a princess of the Atlantica. And so then Karen can become like Queen of Atlantica or whatever, or princess.
No, because she's like 43rd princess.
Okay, so she can become a princess consort of Atlantica. She can still maintain, like, she can rise in nobility.
It would make more sense that Nadia becomes the Duchess of the Stoke territory.
I don't know. Maybe Sabrian can get that kind of legislation through. I don't know. If they're worried about like Blanche becoming a queen and not having a male heir, like I said, this is an uphill battle. I'd fight it with you, but I don't know if we're going to win. I don't know how many changes you could. It's like so you're telling me an interspecies lesbian couple will be ruling us from now on?
I mean, your Blanche becoming queen timeline is also potentially interspecies rulers.
I know.
We'll get into that.
I know. It's different when you're half elf. Everybody can accept that. Half fish is weird. Is that racist?
Yeah, I think so.
That's racist.
I think it is.
Oh, God.
Speciesist, at least.
Xenophobic.
Well, they removed the half species from D&D, so.
They did. Yeah. That's how we're getting around that from now on.
Speaking of which, do you think we've covered Karen enough?
Yeah, I think so.
Because we need to talk about the magic mirror.
Yeah.
Do you remember exactly when that came into play?
Pretty early on in...
I don't remember the exact timeline of it, but basically there's some merchants visiting.
So, yeah, you find out pretty early on the merchants had been... Like, Abigail in her original incarnation was a bit dim. She falls for flashy things that maybe have no real value and overpays for them. So merchants loved her. They would just bring her crap and she would eat it up. But now that they are dealing with a graduate of the Seoul School of Fashion and Design, that shit's not going to fly. So she becomes very discerning, and she tasks the merchants with bringing her something actually of value. And one of them does bring her this magical artifact, this mirror.
And I believe this is also when we find out that magic is a thing here, or when Abigail finds out about it.
Yeah, and it's around this time that we find out that there's Fae and merfolk, and because the Fae kingdom, I guess, is providing most of the magical artifacts.
So the merchant brings in this mirror, and they're like, "Hey, we got this magic mirror for you. It's a mirror that will always tell the truth." And Abigail starts talking to it, and it just immediately is just the rudest thing you could ever see.
She says, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And he's like, that's a really subjective question. There's no way to answer that objectively. So you're going to need to give me like more parameters or something, or ask a question that's less stupid, basically.
And the merchants are like, "Oh, so sorry. So we'll take this away right away. We're going to destroy this thing."
She's like, no. First, the correct answer was Blanche. Second, you're going to change your tone, sir. But they become
now, of
good
course,
friends.
She immediately is like, "This is the magic mirror from Snow White." So I'm not sure how you went that long without figuring it out.
I glossed right over. I was literally chapter 60. Literally chapter 60 was when I put in the Discord, "Oh my God, I'm a fucking idiot."
I don't think she explicitly said Snow White, but it was something to the effect of from the fairy tales or something like that.
She says from fairy tales. I just thought
Abigail knew where she was long before you did.
I just thought, no, it's like what I said. It wasn't subtle, because literally the next chapter after I figured it out, Sabrian says something about Blanche's innocence. He's being poetic, and he says something like, "I worry about Blanche because it only takes like one speck of dirt to ruin white snow." And I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, it's Snow White.
The mirror was the key. I mean, the first chapter was the key, but yeah, the mirror should have done it for you. She all but goes, "Mirror, mirror on the wall."
Like, until we started recording, I was like, oh yeah, she watched Maleficent, and she thought, and Maleficent's a Snow White story. And I'm like, no, it's not. That's not Snow White. I don't know.
It's all overlapping.
I need to go reread like Grimm's fairy tales.
Yeah. So she picks up this mirror, and I think pretty quickly gives it a name, because this is a mirror with a personality. It's not just regular answering questions. And they call the mirror, or the entity within the mirror, Veritas, which, dear listener, can you guess what that means? I don't know how many people know Latin, but
yeah. It's also
it's the mirror that tells the truth.
Yeah.
So
Except it doesn't. That's not what it is.
yeah.
He can say whatever he wants.
What is very interesting is they figure out pretty quickly that he is not limited to just that single mirror. He can actually travel around to all of the mirrors within the palace.
He's got a radius.
Yeah. I don't know if they did go into detail on that, but basically every place in the palace. And so he can actually sort of like spy on people because there's mirrors everywhere. And so go around to various places and sort of like hide in the mirror and listen, and then come back and report to Abigail, which comes in really, really handy pretty quickly. This is during a time when the tutor is still around. I think this was a scheme with Duke Stoke, but they they basically are trying to...
They're trying to poison Blanche and frame Abigail for it.
Right. But they don't want to poison her like for real. They want to they want to sort of embarrass everybody. It's interesting because, and this is a real thing that happens, but basically they're in the hallway before they're taking food in to serve the royal family, and they were adding it to Abigail's food. I remember
they were adding it to what she thought was Blanche's food. She uses her perceptions of fat phobia and stuff against her, because she looks at the plate with the smallest amount of food on it. She's like, oh, that must be for Blanche. Do it to that one. And then it's actually for Abigail. Abigail asked her steak to be cooked a little differently. And then they realize, oh, that was supposed to go to Abigail, even though they set the plate in front of Blanche, and then Abigail and Blanche switch plates, and Abigail gets poisoned.
Now, what they did, and because they weren't trying to poison her specifically, what they did was they added nutmeg, like a shitload of nutmeg. And this is actually really interesting because this is a real thing. Nutmeg in high amounts is basically poisonous. The amounts that you normally use it in cooking, which is pretty small because it's a strong spice, you'd never know unless you have an allergy to it, which I don't think a nutmeg allergy is super common. But even for people without an allergy, if you consume a lot of nutmeg, it does some weird stuff to your body.
I did look this up because I did not know this, and I thought it was strange. It can cause basically intoxication like alcohol, but you can also hallucinate. Mm-hmm. You go nutmeg tripping. But it can also kill you. It can throw your heart out of whack. Now, the funny thing was, it has to be like a tablespoon of nutmeg to get these effects usually. It's like 1 to 2 tablespoons is considered a nutmeg overdose. I feel like, 1, you're going to notice nutmeg on a steak.
Yeah.
And 2, you're going to notice a teaspoon of nutmeg on a steak. Like, you're going to see that nutmeg on that steak.
Yeah. It is. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is quite a bit of a spice to eat all at once.
Is nutmeg like a meat spice? Do people... Maybe, I guess.
You can put nutmeg on anything. It's a good spice. It adds a lot of complexity to anything you add it to. Because it's one of those spices where it's sort of like a cinnamon, where it's like, it can be spicy or it can be sweet, depending on what you're doing.
I thought it was more of like I associate it with desserts.
It is traditionally added to sweet things, but
then I thought maybe you could do it like a barbecue or something.
Yeah, it's not exclusive to sweet things. At any rate, Veritas is watching as this happens. So after Abigail gets poisoned, he's able to talk to her and tell her what happened and who did it and everything. And I think she had to set up some kind of elaborate trap to get them to like confess to what they did, because no one knows about Veritas yet, that he can do all the spying and stuff. He's still a secret to everybody but Abigail. What was... I don't remember what they did though, but this was the point where they were able to get rid of the tutor, because...
Yeah, well, she records her trying to poison Abigail. Or trying to poison Blanche. And she shows her the recording, and she's like, so you can either confess, or I can have you executed. And she goes and she confesses her crime directly to Sabrian, and he throws her in jail forever.
I could have done with an execution.
Yeah. I don't know, an execution might be preferable to being in a old-timey dungeon forever.
Yeah, that's true. So that really sets up the power that can be brought to bear with the subterfuge of Veritas, his ability to go around and peek on things. Although there were a couple times later on where it's like, where are you? Why aren't you watching this? There's like people in the palace talking about these things and you're not
Yeah.
watching them.
Well, he has to actively like choose which mirror to be in.
Yeah. Yeah, he lives in this, like, we see it from time to time. It's like this sort of, he floats around in this space and you can sort of see the mirrors all around him. And he like floats over to them and like looking out and stuff.
Yeah. Trying to think, what was the big conflict of season 2?
Didn't season 2 end with Abigail and Sabrian like sleeping together? Not
They agree to
like
share
literally
a room
just
again.
sleeping.
Yeah, he's been slowly increasing the amount of like physical contact with her. They hold hands regularly. Yeah, I think that is like they get a little more lovey-dovey. I think they introduce more of the concept of mana. Something's going on with the brother Raven. That hasn't really developed much.
He has, well, first of all, he's a duke, but he has a massive inferiority complex, which is sort of ridiculous, but you know how things go.
He wrote a biography called Spare. He moved to America.
But he basically, Raven, falls in love with Abigail because Abigail is nice to him and no one else is ever nice to him for some reason. I guess because he's an extra. It doesn't make any sense though. He's still a duke. It doesn't make sense. But
And he lives at the palace.
yeah. So basically he starts getting it into his head that he wants to take Abigail and be king. And so far he hasn't really done anything actively about that besides just sort of like fawning over Abigail a bit. But I imagine that conflict is going to be sort of like the more long-term thing that comes to a head in season 7.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if I have a ton I want to say about Raven, except that just sort of he's kind of key to explaining some of the magic, and he's kind of...
He gives Abigail a magical artifact.
Gives her 2. One... So the first one he gives her is a cleaning product.
Right.
Filled with mana that it'll just remove any stain instantly. It can also remove makeup. That's her big interest in it.
I think that's the one that needs refilled, right?
Yeah.
Because his idea is like,
She'll have to come to me.
just come back and I'll refill this for you. And then she's like, I'm going to go to the magic place to get it refilled. It's like, shit.
Yeah. He's like, wow. She must not want to talk to me. She just doesn't know me yet.
The other one's a bird, right?
Yeah, he gives her a bird, and the bird spies on her and records her.
Yeah. But ostensibly it's for, isn't it supposed to be a communication device or something?
I don't know.
I forget.
It's supposed to sing for her.
Oh,
I think that's the thing. It's supposed to be like a little music box. But when they go to refill the mana, she gets attacked by chair dogs from Dune. I'm sure it's not supposed to be a Dune reference. Somebody in the comments pointed out that there are similar things in the Beauty and the Beast cartoon, and that made me upset because that's probably what they were thinking of. But I was thinking of chair dogs from Dune. They're not in the movies because they're stupid. Also, I don't think they were invented at that point in the Dune universe. But if
Yeah,
they
isn't
get
that's
to,
Children of Dune, isn't it?
I think if they get to Chapter House Dune, I think that might be God Emperor of Dune, actually, where they get that.
Also, in Beauty and the Beast, it's the dog is a stool, so it's different.
Yeah, so if Denis Villeneuve ever adapts God Emperor of Dune, like he decides he just really wants to ruin his career, then we might get chair dogs.
Chair dogs of Dune.
Chair dogs of Dune. Oh, don't
Just get Kevin J. Anderson.
I was gonna say,
write
don't
that.
give him any ideas. Brian Herbert, that'll be his next book. Chair dogs of Dune. What have they seen?
Lots of asses.
But she gets attacked by these magical dogs. Not attacked, but like maybe like fawned over a little bit. And that
They're like normal dogs. They see a new person, they want to jump up on them and everything. And if you're scared of dogs, that's scary.
but they specifically like her. And Veritas points out that maybe like she has an affinity for magic. Maybe she too, as the protagonist, has some magical ability. Like the evil stepmother in Snow White and or Cinderella, I am realizing now they've blended incontrovertibly in my head, and I can't distinguish them anymore. Yeah. So, like Angelina Jolie, she has magical abilities.
Who plays the evil queen in Snow White in the new one that everybody hates?
I didn't even know that was a thing until I saw an article about everybody hates it.
I'm going to IMDb this.
Oh, no, it's Gal Gadot.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, or Gal Gadot. I don't know how to say her name.
And everybody hates her because she supports Palestinian genocide, right?
Well, I think she was in the IDF.
Well, everybody from Israel was in the IDF. I don't begrudge people just for having been in it for a time. I'm just not cool with genocide.
And that's a bold stance. Apparently, I guess. Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah, Gal Gadot. Nobody liked this movie.
That's what I've heard. I think I started getting a lot of those. Yeah, I think I started getting a lot of those recommendations because I watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and there's some rivalry with Disney there. But yeah, I think we could flash forward a bit.
I'm trying to remember when it is that Blanche discovers Veritas, because I want to say that's either near the end of season 2 or the beginning of season 3.
It's near the beginning of season 3 because Blanche just finally comes clean about him. She introduces him to Sabrian. And well, no, it's at the end of season 2 because she introduces him to Sabrian and Blanche. And Veritas, it's revealed like he's actually quite young. And he has been taking the form of like a teenager, but he takes the form of somebody more Blanche's age. And then he becomes friends with Blanche.
I'm wondering if the author sort of changed their ideas of what Veritas was going to be as time went on, because the fact that he like starts off older,
Yeah, it's weird.
and then like what we're finding out recently, it's sort of like, oh no, he was actually young the whole time. Why was he taking the form of someone older? And like, it just gave me the feeling of like, oh, I'm just changing this as I, am going forward and figuring out where I want to go with it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's got to be a lot there. I get the impression that this is like one of those web novels that just went on and went into 1,000 different directions.
Right.
That eventually all tie back together. But
I think the impetus of Abigail coming clean about Veritas was that she wanted Blanche to have a confidant and like have Veritas be active in protecting Blanche.
yeah, because there's that weird guy who's like trying to get alone with Blanche, the music teacher. That's a whole other thing.
Right.
And Veritas,
Gideon.
yeah, Veritas has to like save her from that.
Man, he sticks around way too long.
Well, he's still around. He's coming back. Oh no, he's dead now. No, he's not dead. He faked his death.
Right.
So yeah,
we'll get to that.
Yeah, Blanche and Veritas are the same age now, and they're friends, and that's cute. They talk about magic and stuff. They bond a lot, and we get to see.
Oh my God!
What?
This friggin' wiki. I'm looking at this guy, and it's just spoiled a whole bunch of stuff we didn't get to yet. God damn! So much stuff is missing from this wiki, and yet it has so much spoilers from the novel.
They needed you to know that they knew.
God damn.
But yeah, season 3. So we're doing The Little Mermaid. Blanche and Veritas get it in their heads that they want to see the ocean. They're both little kids now. Veritas does always kind of act immature, I guess, but I don't know. So they go to see the ocean. They plan it as like a state visit, but it's a loosely disguised family vacation. And this is where we get into some of the stuff that's been hinted at, the trouble with the mermaids. They're attacking ships. They're disrupting trade. And why is that? And it's like, oh, well, we're going to find out in a little bit that mermaids cry tears of pearl or something. And so humans have been taking them and trading them on a black market and doing all kinds of weird shit. And so the mermaids have a legitimate gripe. And they go around, they do a bunch of family stuff. But then Abigail is on a boat looking over the sea, and some ninja comes up and pushes her off the boat.
I wasn't clear about this, and they sort of, I think they did answer it, but it was still unclear to me. Who pushed her in?
It was an assassin hired by either the music teacher. I think it was the music teacher.
Okay,
because I don't think it would be Raven, because I don't think Raven's trying to assassinate Abigail.
No, he wants Abigail. Because I was confused by it, because at some point they said something about like, I saw someone with red hair up on the deck with her or something like that. And I was like, wait, did Nadia come up on the boat and push her in because she fell in love with her?
That's what they want you to think, and that's partly like you're not supposed to trust Nadia. Like there's a lot of tension with the Little Mermaid, because the way they play it is Abigail gets pushed in, Sabrian jumps in after her. He jumped in with a rope. He's not stupid, and they go to pull him in. The rope snaps, and he's in a stormy sea. They get pulled under. They're saved by a mermaid. When they're found by dolphins, because Blanche talks to animals now. Blanche set the dolphins to find them. And they did. And they're in a cave, and they have to cuddle for warmth, half-dressed, because they're soaking wet. And this is the most contact they have ever had. And it's interrupted, of course, by squawking dolphins sent by their child. So when they come back, good news, we were also able to find you because this mysterious red-haired woman who is walking around like she just figured out legs were a thing was also washed away in the ocean, and she told us there was a cave here, and she's lost her voice. It's the whole Little Mermaid thing, and you're made to think she's going after Sabrian. She's going to try to steal Sabrian from Abigail,
which is also what Abigail thinks, because she immediately goes, "This is the Little Mermaid."
Yep. And they do dress Sabrian up like Eric from The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, right.
I did enjoy that. Like even the part in his hair is a little different. And
apparently the artist was like, hey, a lot of people didn't pick up on this, so I'm just gonna just go all for it.
Finally listening to my feedback. So they play around with this will they won't they for a while of like, Abigail's like, oh, she needs true love's kiss, so go ahead and kiss her, Sabran. I know you'll be divorcing me any day now. And Blanche is like, I don't like this. I don't like any part of this. You two are not getting divorced. I'm getting in the middle of this. She responds like an angry cat whenever the Little Mermaid's around. And Sabran misconstrues her thing. She's like, do you want to kiss? And he's like, I would love to kiss. And she's like, okay, I'll go get her. And he's like, wait, what? And she goes and gets the Little Mermaid, and she's like, okay, now kiss. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. Like, there's this whole misunderstanding. And then they have a sit down with the Little Mermaid, and Abigail's like, look, I'm going to do whatever I can to help you break this curse, but you cannot kiss my husband. That is the one thing you cannot do. I will not allow that. And the Little Mermaid takes a piece of paper and a pen and writes down, I think this is the actual message. So just to be clear, you'll do anything to help me as long as I don't kiss that man. She's like, yes. And Little Mermaid's like, tight. And walks over and Frenches Abigail right in front of God and everyone. And Sabrian, I do actually love this, becomes like a doodle from a sketchbook.
I think it might have been in the Otome Isekai Discord server, but I'm pretty sure that I clipped that and put it up as a reaction image.
Yeah. He reacts, he composes himself for a moment and then orders the guards to execute her immediately. I mean, throw her in the dungeon immediately. And it becomes a whole big thing. We find out that the Little Mermaid is actually into Abigail, that mermaid society is super sexually liberated. They do not have any hang-ups about anything. And
yep, here it is. Oh my God, this is from April 2024. I posted this.
And we also find out that the Little Mermaid is interested in human culture. There's a lot of back and forth with Abigail, too, because Abigail, I don't know if she's straight or bi or whatever, but she's romantically interested in Sabrian more than anyone else.
She's flexible.
Heteroflexible. But she's very flattered by the attention. No one has ever just straight up called her beautiful, said they wanted to be with her and all this stuff. And she has a hard time rejecting the Little Mermaid. And
I get it.
the Little Mermaid is one of those characters that's like in anime that's just like very like boisterous and in your face and always doing everything wrong and impolite, but
terrible Japanese person.
And she does firmly reject the Little Mermaid and says, like, the Little Mermaid handles it, like I said, with grace, says, well, we can at least be friends, right?
I can at least hang around and look at you, right?
Yeah, that would be fine, I guess. I'm also going to need to look at you because I want to know about mermaid fashion. And everybody is shocked. This one made me laugh a little bit. Like, everybody is shocked as shit that mermaid men or mermen wear skirts, which is more like a robe. And they're like, they don't wear pants. I'm like, they don't have legs. Like, I can understand like a certain amount of culture shock here, but like at a certain point, you just gotta like, what would be the point of pants?
Yeah.
Please explain to me how you think that's going to work.
It would make more sense if they were like, oh my God, those tops are so revealing, right?
Yeah, that was my thing.
They all wear like tank tops, basically.
But
there's no sleeves.
Again, it's dudes
scandalous.
It's dudes like Stokeworth who are scandalized by it.
Yeah.
And then now Stokeworth's plan is like, so I hear that this mermaid has a thing for the queen. Karen, you need to get in there and you need to make sure that the queen does the dirty with this mermaid. And
where are you getting Stokeworth from?
Or Stoke, sorry. Because Stokeworth is a name.
Okay.
And so Stoke is like, I'm stoked to get these two girls together. And Karen's like, wow, I'm surprised you're so open to female relationships. He's like, the fuck are you talking about? I'm not open to it. It's disgusting.
So sad. This scene was so sad because Karen, you can see the gears turning in Karen's head, where she's like, "Oh, maybe I like women. Maybe that would
could be accepted." Yeah,
she's thinking about it. She heard about someone else who had started a lesbian relationship, and like they were pretty much ostracized. They had to go live out in the country or something like that. But she's like, oh, but so it is possible. And then she's talking to her dad, and all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, he supports this? This is great.
Does he have one redeeming quality?
Yeah, right. And as the reader too, you're like, oh, is this a redemption arc for this guy? And then he just immediately is like, no, that's how we're going to get rid of her. Because
that's how we're going to get rid of her. It's disgusting. It's an abomination unto the Lord, Karen.
And you get Karen's face, the poor thing.
And
just
Karen,
so dejected.
Let me tell you something right now, Karen. I, as Duke Stoke whatever, am here to say that there is nothing even remotely appealing to me about two hot women going at it. I need you to know that. And furthermore, the whole time they were going at it, I bet I'd be sitting there thinking, oh, it's just because they couldn't find a Stokeworth, you know? Like they couldn't find, if you had a man willing to like be there, why would you ever want a woman? In fact, I have that thought all the time. Why can't a woman just be more like a man? I've got to go
if
now.
If only that was his line of thinking. Maybe some forgiveness is in order, but no.
No. But Karen just straight up admits to the Little Mermaid that they are love rivals. And though there is probably no future in it, she's still going to try to shoot her shot with the queen. And I'm like, well, I hope you realize you guys are just better with each other.
They probably will.
Yeah, because you don't want to see Karen get stomped on anymore. She's become a pretty nice character. The Little Mermaid's like, I bet we can heal the rift between our two nations. And they have a meeting. They summon a delegation from the merfolk community, and the merfolk are led by a giant muscle mommy who is pretty hostile to the humans, but slowly won over mostly by Blanche, mostly by being guilted for making Blanche cry.
I think you can say completely by Blanche.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, okay, I got my sister. I'm ready to leave. And Blanche is like, won't you stay just a little? I worked so hard making these things for you. And she's like, of course not. And then all the other merfolk are like, whoa. You're kind of a monster. And she's like, fine, give me the fucking flower crown. And then she's like, fine, give me the apple. Fine, I'll eat the sushi. Fine. Okay, truce. Fine. Put this on your ships and we won't attack them anymore. But you gotta promise me no more black market mer trafficking. And
do you think we could solve all the problems in the world if all politicians were just replaced by cute children?
Oh, dude, I'd settle for like somebody in their 60s.
So here's where we get some more drama. So while this delegation is visiting from, I believe you got it right before, Atlantica,
Yeah.
which, why do they have an Atlantic Ocean? That doesn't make any sense. They are visiting an orchard. And, like you said, there's some cuteness going on here. Blanche is like, here, have some apples, and look how cute I am. And they're all like, yeah, that's true. As they're getting ready to leave, one of the orchard workers comes up and is like, here, this is an extra special apple. Look how beautiful it is. I'm gifting this specifically to the princess. And only the princess. It's specifically for her. It's a special apple for the princess. The princess's apple. Ah, yes. Princess's apple. The apple for the princess. But Blanche isn't hungry, so she hands it off. And I believe she gives it to... How do you say it? The king's
Millard.
right-hand man. Is it Millard? It's not Millard. Millard. The L's are silent.
If it's Millard, then it's Blanche.
I mean, it probably is. And so, yeah, this guy has the apple then, and the king takes it from him. He was going to eat it because it's a cool apple, and the princess gave it to him.
No, I think he was actually. He said he was going to put it in resin. He was going to frame it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, then we're fine. We're good. And then the king's like, no, I'm going to take it.
And then Sabrina was like, this was a gift from Blanche? Well, that's for me, obviously, right? And so Sabrina eats the apple and then dies. He's dead.
He dies real fucking quick. He eats the apple, and then the next scene, they're at his funeral.
And then, yeah, so the series is over. It was a pretty sad ending, but yeah, it's good series overall.
But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that happens. Raven comes up at the funeral and is like, if you want, I could cut my hair and pretend to be him. And she's like, I'm going to go
the creepiest
now.
thing he ever said. Like, holy shit.
And then he looks at himself and he's like, I fucked it up. She wanted to say that. I'm like, yeah, you did. What? Oh, boy. I laughed at that. That was...
Abigail didn't think it was as strange as the rest of us did.
She thought it was a bit strange, though. She was preoccupied, though. And then she goes up to do the final viewing, and...
Well, it was at this point where Abigail remembered that she was, in fact, in a fairy tale.
Well, she didn't know about the apple. Because
I thought it was right after she talked to Raven that she found out about it.
Well, she talks to Raven, and then she talks to Millard, or Millard, though.
Yeah.
Who is sitting at... He's standing there, and he's like, man, if I knew he was going to die, I would have just given him that apple. I can't believe the last thing we did was fight about that stupid apple. She's like, what? What apple?
Also, this was the point... I might have left a comment on the chapter about this, but it's like, are you telling me, because they did all kinds of investigations, and you're telling me that no one investigated this apple?
It didn't...
the last thing he ate?
He ate the whole apple. Even if they had, there was no poison. It was a curse.
Yeah, but they can still investigate that stuff. They know curses are a thing in this world.
And she runs then, knowing the cure. She runs to his coffin, which is...
Wait, what could possibly be the cure to a poison apple death?
It's the same thing that's a cure to literally every curse. It's true love's kiss. And she runs to the coffin, throws open the lid. I assume there was a lid because there was a lid in the long shot, and they weren't just using an asset, but then there's no lid in the close-up. I assume she threw that slab off. But anyway,
That was the one you saw in the long shot was the fake coffin that they use for when it needs to be closed.
And she kisses him and he wakes up and everybody's like, wow.
She's a witch.
Yeah.
No.
At first, everybody's like, she's kissing a corpse. This corpse better come back to life or she is out of here. And then it does. And we're like, well, okay, you get one. Then season 4 starts. And I'm kind of going quick here.
But isn't that crazy? They subverted it. It was the king who went into a death-like coma and not Blanche, the Snow White stand-in. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? They subverted it.
It is. And that's also their first kiss. And they will go on to kiss many more times.
Not often enough.
Well, Blanche has a request. We'll get to that. But first, Veritas, they figure out that he might be a real boy. He might be trapped in a mirror.
So Abigail has started to understand that she has, I guess, dark magic or something to that.
She has black
effect.
magic. She has control over curses and poisons, which gives her the ability to potentially diffuse curses and poisons as well.
The big thing that they find is that she can actually see the curses on things. And so as she's figuring this out, she actually sees that the mirror that Veritas is in has some kind of curse applied to it. She can't tell what it is to start off with, but she can tell that there's something there. So she does a lot of research. She tries to get stronger in her magic without telling anybody that she has dark magic.
She tells Sabrian, which is cool. I think they both.
It takes her a little while for that, though. I think for a long time, Veritas is the only one who knows.
Yeah. But they do talk about it because I think they have to talk about it when they talk about the apple. Like, how did she know?
Right.
So she talks to the Little Mermaid, like, how can I quickly raise my magic level? And the Little Mermaid's like, oh, there's no shortcut, except there's one shortcut. You could use a magical item to boost your magic power. She's like, damn, if only I had a magic item. And she's like, well, actually you do. That necklace you were given for designing a sailor suit for Blanche in a side quest I forgot to mention, really important. So here, take this necklace, the Heart of the Ocean from the Titanic movie.
I mean, we all forgot it until this point. So.
And she looks at the mirror and she's channeling magic out of that artifact and she's looking hard and she sees the curse and she sees a little bit of the wording of it. And then the jewel snaps. And she got like, the curse will break when blank kissed by blank who they blank.
I wonder what it could mean.
And so Abigail goes to kiss the mirror. She's like, I'm going to try
this is the third time that we're breaking kisses. We're breaking curses with kisses.
Yeah. Abigail goes to kiss the mirror. She's like, I'll kiss it. We'll see if he gets free. And he's freaking out. He's like, don't kiss me. Don't kiss me. Don't kiss me. It's so weird. And he says in his inner monologue, so weird to be kissed by the parents of the person you like. And I'm like, oh, I already knew what was going to happen as soon as he turned into a kid. But
I believe Sabrian steps in to stop that kiss.
Yeah, he puts his hand in front of the mirror.
And then Sabrian's like, I'll kiss you, which is great.
I'd rather be a mirror. Thank you. He literally says that. There was also a period where the mirror explained to Sabrian that when you hug the person you love, it feels different. And so Sabrian hugs every person he sees for like a week.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
he hugs
season 2.
Yeah, he hugs every person he sees for a week just to see to get a gauge for it.
And it's so great. Every one of the, because they're all men.
Yeah.
because he's got an aversion to women. And just the look on everyone's face as he's just walking around and hugging people. It's just like, oh my God, this is great.
He does it dead-eyed, too. He just walks
Yeah.
up to people like a zombie and hugs them, and he's like, 25 joules.
Millard, we're very close, right? Come here. I'm going to hug you.
And then he hugs Abigail.
What?
He hugs Abigail, and it changes his whole fucking world.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, but just to be sure, I didn't like unlock some new level of hugging. Millard, hug me again. And then he punches him in the face. He's like, I felt nothing. Okay. So now that you know that, I can tell you that it goes on for a while. And
Not
then
too long. I think it's only like
Yeah.
2 or 3 chapters.
One-
They all leave. So, Sabrian doesn't kiss him. They all leave. And Veritas is ruminating on what this means. That he's not necessarily just a magical artifact. That he's potentially a real person who was cursed and had his memories taken.
And we find Blanche comes to him in the night and says, what if I tried to kiss you? And he's like, oh, okay. And they do. She kisses the mirror. He puts his lips to the mirror. She puts her lips to the mirror. And then he walks out from the mirror. And he is an elven boy that I also forgot to mention they were looking for at the beginning of season 4. People were going around looking for a blue-haired kid, and that's partly why they thought he was a real person who might have gotten trapped in a mirror.
I think I glossed over that part.
He's actually like the king of the elves, or the rightful king of the elves, but he went missing, right? Like, and there was a war for ascension and everything. So he's out, but he's got another curse on him that his memory is sealed. So he can't remember who he is. So the disguise they're going for here
Apparently, True Love's first kiss doesn't get rid of all the curses.
No. It's gonna no, they're children. I can't make
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I'm not going to say that.
True Love's first
wait, you got to
base
wait a
breaks
couple
the-
years for that one. 3 years at least.
Yeah.
She's 13 now, right? 3
Yeah.
years at least. Let's give him 5 just to be safe.
5. Yeah, just before you can put it in a comic. So they say that this new child, they explain his appearance as he is a magical prodigy who's going to be guarding the Princess Blanche. And he magics himself to look human, which is just rounding out his ears. And I think changing his hair color. He changes from blue to gray and rounds out his ears. And then they have Blanche's birthday, and they ask Blanche what she wants for her birthday, and she only wants one gift, but she's not sure if it's something they'll be willing to give her. Of course, anything for you, Blanche. We'll do anything for you. I want a sibling. And I'll be real with you. I think that's the last thing I remember happening.
Yeah, I believe that was that the end of the last chapter? No, it's this last chapter that we got was the fallout of that, of her going, I want a sibling, and everybody going, huh?
But that would mean we'd have to do an adult hug.
And she says, well, maybe we could try.
Yeah. Yeah, you could.
Unfortunately, what you are looking at is the 2 most awkward adults on the planet.
Oh, they'll get there. Sabrian, he came around quick.
I wonder how many seasons we'll have to go.
That's the only thing. It's got to be like 7 or. They got a lot to wrap up.
I don't know.
They got at least 2 more seasons.
What the key is going to be, is it going to go on for longer than Lady Baby?
It's like we're not talking about the J-pop group.
No. Have you have you come across Lady Baby yet?
No.
Okay, so Lady Baby is a series that has, let's see, where is this the... Yeah, started in 2018. There are, how many seasons? I believe 7 seasons of this. There's that one. Let me see. It did end recently. But yeah, it started in 2018, and where is it's currently, Tapas is behind, because there are, 7 seasons, and there actually might be 8 right now, because the last chapter is chapter 239. What's interesting, though, because there's 7 seasons, the seasons aren't very long. Season 7 was chapter 178 to 197. But still, point being, very long running. Wait, did it just go on a hiatus? I thought I heard that it ended. But that's what Not-Sew-Wicked Stepmom is up against in terms of longevity. So
It's the Detective Conan of Otome Isekai.
But as far as chapter counts, we're already getting there.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a question of like, will it keep going long enough to go over that? So before we get into the rubric, I'm going to spoil some stuff because it got spoiled for me. So you all have to suffer with me.
Skip to time code.
If you don't want to hear this, skip ahead a bit. So apparently, I guess this has already happened in the novel. They did already have a child. They have a son named Hiver.
That's a bad name.
Yeah, it's a terrible name. Also not a color. So that's obviously wrong. And this is actually more surprising, because obviously they're going to have a kid at some point, right? The music teacher, Gideon McLeod, is a reincarnator.
They did hint at that. They have hinted at that in the comic.
Really?
Yeah. She said she suspects she's not the only one here who knows the story.
I must have glossed over that.
She suspects that somebody's plan is to poison Blanche with a curse that can be lifted with a kiss, but not necessarily true love's kiss, any kiss. And that this guy's going to poison Blanche, come up, kiss her when nobody else would know to do that. She will wake up and it will cement him in the people's eyes as her true love. And that will be his in to the royal family. So she suspects that the Prince Charming role, or whoever it is in Snow White, I don't even know anymore. The Prince Corpse Kisser is gonna be the bad guy. And in retrospect, that seems obvious.
I don't think it's necessary to know the story to come up with that plan, though.
No, but helps.
Wow, oh my God, is the novel over? Because there's a whole thing here. I won't get into this because this is real spoilers. But yeah, it's like all laid out here. Don't read the Gideon McLeod entry on the Not-Sew-Wicked Stepmom wiki unless you definitely want to be spoiled. Now, I don't have this problem because by the time we get to any of that, I'll have forgotten all of it.
I'll be dead.
All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to cover before we rubric this?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. So as always, our rubric is up on the website, animepodcastreincarnation.com. It's an interactive rubric, so you can go and rubric along with us. Still waiting for literally anybody to jump on the Discord and say, here's what my rubric ended up at. I believe we need to include romance.
Yeah.
I don't think it's unfair, although it didn't really start until like the middle of season 3 to actually be a romance, but
No, I think you should. I think
important.
there's some valuable romance insights in that.
Okay, we're going to start off with content and ideas. So I need to give this, a 2 because this is all stuff that's been done before, and it's they just take all these other fairy tales and they're just using that. No, of course not.
No, I'm actually at I think I'm going to go 5.
Okay.
I'm impressed with I think it does actually do a good job of doing something new with the story of Snow White. New enough that I didn't even notice it.
I'm good.
That's why it's so good.
I'm gonna go with a 5 as well. I think there's something to be said where you can use existing ideas, but twist them in such a way that the presentation of them is in and of itself original and interesting.
Well,
and I think that's what's happening.
And it brings in elements that aren't anything to do with the original story. Like her focus on fashion is legitimately interesting. And
and you would have thought that would have been a Sleeping Beauty thing with all the
sewing wheel
stuff, right?
But
I bet we'll get that at some point.
I don't know anything about fashion and I don't really care. I did care. I remember things like I'd never heard of the Rococo period of French fashion. I think somebody has told me a little bit about the dress styles and how they evolved and everything, but it was interesting enough to the author that it became interesting to me. They do kind of do a really good job of showing you how they see fashion. Yeah,
I feel like we would need someone better versed in fashion to tell us if the inclusion of fashion in this series is more than just I looked some stuff up on Wikipedia. But it does give the impression that it's more than just I looked some stuff up on Wikipedia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it got me somewhat interested. So
yeah. All right. Well, I think a pretty clear outlier here with a 5. So we'll move on to pacing and structure. And I gotta say, I think I'm going with a 5 here as well.
I went with a 4 here, and admittedly, it's a little bit of where do I take points off of this one instead of where do I give points? I get the vibe that there is a real adaptation challenge to this web novel. I get the vibe that there is a lot to this web novel. And like a lot of web novels, maybe it does the thing where the narrative branches off in different directions and follows different characters when the main plot is taking a little more time to write. And then they tie those side characters back in, and there are characters that I feel like should be cut, but that they can't cut because they play an important role 100 pages from now.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment, especially with the characters. We definitely have this thing where a character that you haven't seen for a season and a half comes back and you go, oh, wait, who is that again?
Yeah.
However, at least in my reading of it, that was never a problem. And I feel like they always reintroduced characters if they needed to. It wasn't a huge deal. And the main thing for me here is that there was no point in ever since I started reading this, where I felt like anything dragged on. Everything there's always something happening, and it always gets resolved or explained or whatever within a fairly short amount of time. There's some overarching things that are still ongoing that you get little bits and pieces of here, but there's always a main arc that is happening at any given point in time, and you never sit in one of those arcs for too long. It's the thing we were talking about earlier on with like the whole misunderstandings trope.
Yeah.
Like they always resolve them within a chapter or two. They never let it drag on. And frankly, I won't mind if this goes for 350 chapters.
No, I think it has to. And I will say, I make up for it with characters.
I mean, characters is an easy 5.
Yeah. Because even though I think some of them shouldn't be there, like, I think the story would flow better if some of these people were not in it.
Potentially. But like, you also, you know, we're considering here that literal side characters like Karen, like someone who was introduced as a foil, as a villainess, someone you're not supposed to like. She says some awful stuff to start with. We love her at this point.
No.
Like the fact that you can have a side character that goes through an arc that you invest in as the reader, like it's great.
No, and all their choices make sense. They make sense within their backstory and all of that.
Yeah.
Every character I feel has at least 2 dimensions, except maybe Duke Stoke. But like, I do enjoy a punching bag, so
I think you always have to have one
Yeah.
to some extent, right?
yeah.
Okay, then. We love the characters, but do we love the romance?
Yeah, I do actually. I'm giving it a 5 because I think this was. I'll tell you one thing that actually like upset me a little bit as I was reading it. They do such a good job of describing, like, especially from Sabrian's perspective, the complexities of trying to find romance again after being scarred in that way. And I think he recovers maybe just a little quick, but like, it's a romance comic. I mean, you don't want to spend too much time. Like, you don't want to just, it's not a comic about healing, about how to heal trauma. It's a comic about ultimately this relationship. So they speed through
I don't
it a
know. I
little.
think it takes like a season and a half.
He jumps to being willing, like he jumps from hand holding to being up for anything pretty quick. But maybe he is a man with a child already, so I don't know.
I think it's relatively realistic because
I think they do a really good job with it.
yeah,
At the end of the day,
it doesn't feel forced.
The things that they do to make him more comfortable are the things that you would need to do.
Well, and they also, I think they make it very clear where it's like, he's not just over women. He's not over his trauma of women. He is in love with Abigail, and that is overcoming his aversion.
When there's lots of open communication, there's lots of like, look, I'm just going to be honest with you. This is how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
And this is why. And they're like, yeah, okay, I understand that. That makes sense. Then we can do this, this, and this. And that is refreshing because I think it's something that is not, it's not sexy. Like, because we've talked about this with like high drama and stuff. Sometimes it's fun to watch toxic people do dramatic things. But it's not sexy, but it is good romance.
So yeah, it's not sexy, which is sort of why I'm giving it a 4 for romance. This is the category where it's very, very likely that by the time this ends, for me, romance will be a 5. We're not there yet. And I like where it's going, so which is why it's getting a 4. It's definitely doing things right. But to get to a 5 in romance for me, I need to see some actual stuff going down.
Results, Sabrian.
Which it's going to happen. So, but we're only halfway through season 4, so I think we've still got some more time for it to evolve. I fully expect it to be a 5. When we do a revisit episode.
Yes.
Well, we didn't touch on this in our walkthrough, but art competency.
It's a 5.
That's a 5. There's no question about that. I mean, oh my God. From page 1. Now, the art has evolved a little bit, which is important, but pretty much from page 1, from chapter 1, this has been one of the most beautiful manhwa that we've read. The only things that go over this are like Mother's Contract Marriage, Secret Lady, like those ones where it's like, these are literal paintings. Because this is not paintings.
I would say this is the top tier of the webtoon style.
Yeah, well, so top tier that it like can stand alongside those painting like ones.
Yeah.
It's not in front of them, obviously, but it's like, it's right up there.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of places where it's obviously hand drawn. I know there's a lot of the assets used. The backgrounds are a little like phoned in, but the character work, like the actual human figures are on point.
Right. It's still decidedly a cartoon, but it's like the most beautiful cartoon you've ever seen.
Well, and it uses the cartoon elements to portray like different perspectives and how different characters actually see each other and mood very well, to be honest.
I was thinking the thing that we would hold this up against to look at instead of like a Mother's Contract Marriage or something like that would be I Shall Master This Family, because that's one where it's like this is a manhwa style. It's really good looking, but it's a manhwa style. We gave that a 4 for art competency. So
I'm comfortable with a 5.
yeah, this is like, because that one I think it was like, this is a 4. It's on the cusp. Like, this is super good looking for being a manhwa, a cartoon. But like this one, it just cranks that up even more.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job of still including cartoon elements in it. You get reaction faces and chibis and all that kind of stuff. And they're really, really good.
Yeah, and that was kind of bleeding into the next category for me.
Artistic flourish.
Yeah, I actually went with a 5. I could see a lower score being there, but I liked all the magic creatures. I liked the mirror world with Veritas.
I think it's pretty on par with I Shall Master the Family, which we also gave 5
Yeah.
for.
There were little touches too, like instead of just doing black outlines, she started using like she would do the outline in the same color as the thing she was drawing over, so like red for the dress, flesh color for the arm. And it started like giving it like warmer feelings, and she would use like harsh black lines for colder feelings or comedic moments. And like, I don't know, I just started noticing like obviously a lot of care was taken with a lot of this.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't feel with a lot of webtoons. I feel like a lot of webtoons is about getting it out on time. And I understand that, because she said in the interview, she's like, so yeah, I work full-time 5 days a week, and then I spend my weekends checking my assistant's work, and then I spend my breaks doing all the storyboards. And I was like...
It really does make me wonder, like, because there's nothing else I can find for this artist.
They either use
this artist, the only other thing
or...
I can find is that they did the illustrations for the novel.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm just like, where'd this person come from? This isn't the first thing they've done. There's no possible way.
No, they might have a day job, or they might just use this name for this work.
I mean, it has to be something like that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, personal preference. I don't think there's any we don't even need to talk about this, right?
No, I'm at a 5. I really liked it.
Of course. Oh my God, is this going to be the best rated thing we've ever covered?
I could tell you for my recommendation strength, I'm at a 4.
Okay.
Which it does take a point off or two, but the only reason I'm at a 4 is I'm going to say like the Full Metal Alchemist problem, I think, is there are people I would recommend this to who do not read a lot of Asian comics, and the quirky meme cuts with depictions of serious abuse might be off-putting to a few.
I think those are far enough apart.
I don't know. I know people who would not get it. So it's a weak recommendation in that regard. But I do think I wish the wording was maybe a little different. And like, I don't know if I recommend this to everyone, but I recommend it to almost everyone.
See, and that's where I'm at, which is why I'm going to give it a 5.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Strength. I think, if you have a passing knowledge of fairy tales and stuff, like this should do it for you.
So if I give it a 5, it actually goes over 100 points.
I think there might be a problem here. What is going on here?
Do the point values change?
If you give a 5 for everything, it's 104 points. That's not right. What if remove romance. If we remove romance and give everything a 5, it's 98. This might be slightly broken.
I think 98 is what I want to give it. Because I think it should be a 5 should be 12 points, not 13.
I think you're right. What happened here?
I just think the math's wrong.
Yeah. I don't think yours is 98 then, because we have to drop this down. Oh, now I actually have to do math.
This is the problem. If it came out evenly, it would be, if we make it 12 points, the best you can do is like a 99. 8 categories, 100 divided by 8 is 12.5. That's what happened there.
Okay, so it looks like you would be at 96.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then I'd be at 98. I'm going to have to fix that. I think I have math going on in the background, so
It's rounding up. It's rounding 12.5 up to 13.
Maybe I'll just let it have decimals then.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me see here. What was the last thing? I Shall Master This Family we rated really highly at 92. Trying to see if there's anything else that comes this close. Villainous Flips the Script is pretty high. That was a 92 for me, 89 for you. Yeah, I think this is the highest rated thing we've ever done. We did it. We solved manhwa.
Nice.
All right. Well, yeah, there it is. 98, 96. Probably. That's what we're going to pick.
It's up there.
Technically, mine says 101. This is better than perfect. No, this has been basically my favorite series for a long time now. I can waffle a little bit, but it's definitely top 3
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So that's going to do it for Not-Sew-Wicked Stepmom. You got any closing remarks for this series?
No, I think it's really good. I'll be interested to revisit. Because
Might be a couple years for this one.
Yeah, no. The only thing is, I thought this was completed, and so as I was getting into season 4 and I saw how many chapters were left, I was like, oh, maybe it's not going to do that well because there's no way they can resolve all this. And then it just was like, I looked and the last comment was like 9 days ago, and I'm like, what?
Well, that will bring us to what we're going to cover next time. And speaking of things that are finished, we've actually had 3 different series finish recently.
Oh.
So for our next poll, I'm going to leave up How to Win My Husband Over and our other recommendation from Annie, which is Your Majesty, Please Spare Me This Time. And for our third choice, it's a revisit episode. Revisit of Author of My Own Destiny.
Oh, nice.
The Villainess is a Marionette, and Master Villainous the Invincible.
Yeah, I liked all of those. I remember what each one is.
You might not like the endings.
Oh. That's unfortunate.
I believe Author of My Own Destiny, I think that was like 2 months ago or something like that. I don't remember the specifics, but that one was pretty good. I think The Villainous is a Marionette got canceled.
Oh.
Yeah. And Master Villainous the Invincible, I mean, I guess spoilers. I think it was fine, but I think it sort of sprinted to the end. And so like the last 20 to 30 chapters was sort of rushed. But I guess listener, you're not going to find out unless you vote for that one. So you need to go sign up for our Patreon so you can vote on what we're going to cover next time. As always, that poll will go up the day this episode comes out, and it will be up for a week. So gotta get there quick. Everybody who's listening to this after a week is up. You missed it. Sorry. Sign up for next time. So that's going to do it for this episode of Heroine Addiction. Thank you so much for listening. And before we go, I want to thank Sugoi Mart for partnering with us. Sugoi Mart's a retailer of Japanese drinks, toys, merch, snacks, all kinds of cool stuff you can't get outside Japan. Our listeners can click the link in the description or use code APR15 at checkout to get 15% off their first order. And we want to hear from you. As I said at the beginning, find our social media links on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. You can also leave comments on the episode posts up there. But the best place to talk to us is our Discord, which you can find a link for up there as well. And of course, don't forget to check out our Patreon, as I mentioned momentarily ago. Shortly. Just then. Just now. When was then now? Soon. Our patrons get perks like getting to vote on what we cover on this show. We also have bonus episodes, and you can also get the high-quality stereo version of the podcast early. But, of course, we have to shout out our patrons. So, first and foremost, we have our noble tier, where we now, in fact, have 2 nobles. So to kick us off, we've got Count Imaginary Numeral. And, of course, our favorite marquee, Cake Dwarf. At our Reincarnator tier, we've got Moon. And last, and certainly not least, at our Commoner tier, we have Laura Carroll, Rena, and Last Man on Earth. Thank you so much to all of our patrons. Now, to sign us off, in case you can't get enough of Ben talking about stuff, check out his other podcast, Words About Books. Might not want to listen to the last 2 episodes that are out, but the ones before that are fine.
Hey, they're all
recently
fun
covered
in their own way.
the second book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series.
Yeah, that probably fits in with Heroine Addiction.
Much more relevant than Man in the High Castle.
I don't know. There's a group of people that love when we don't like it. You know that guy who left 20 comments, deleted them all?
What?
Yeah, he deleted them all. He said he went and he said he reread the book and actually we made a lot of sense. And so,
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I screenshot some of them for posterity.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's Man in the High Castle was our most controversial episode ever. It's causing people to disagree with themselves.
That's great. You didn't post about him deleting all his comments.
No, I think we talk about it in this week's
episode. Okay. Well, if you go listen to Words About Books and you listen to, what is it? A Court of Mist and Fury?
A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas.
You can jump on the Words About Books Discord and we can argue about that there. I had some feelings about that. Well, thank you once again for listening. We hope you had a good time. Now, you do have to excuse me. I told my doctor I'd cut back on manhwa, so I need to go wash off the smell of tears and flowers before my next visit. This is Heroine Addiction, where we cover romance and drama manhwa, and where you never know where you'll... No. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to be really warmed up today. We're going to record 4 episodes of Jumping the Gun later.
Wow.
Well, before we get into this, I'm doing not good today, apparently. All right, well, I think that's gonna do it for Not-Sew-Wicked Stepmom. Have any closing thoughts for that?
How do we what?
You just weren't listening.
I just
to
spaced
me.
out. Gotta go shotgun B12, get it out of your system.
All right, well, there it is. Every time we do this, I'm like, oh, this one's going to be shorter. It's going to be like an hour and a half. And then it's not.
No.
It never is.
I knew this one was going to be up there.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
I figured you would, but these are always sort of like, is he going to really like it? Or is it just going to be like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I could see it not being someone's cup of tea, but it's undeniably good.